Action.
Childhood, what was my childhood like? I was happy. It was good. You know, I had a father that loved me. I had a mother that loved me, grandparents in my life, brothers, sisters. I remember being happy. My parents did get divorced when I was really young. My parents, they didn't get along too well after the divorce, and that was hard on me. You know, I always felt like I had to choose. My dad, he remarried, and you know, my mother, she remarried. And probably around 8 years old was the first time that life got really, really dark for me. My mother married this man, Nathan, and my stepfather molested me for probably, more than, you know, I think it went on for 2 months. And I remember being confused. I remember being scared. And I remember the fear of, like, it took me so long to be able to open my mouth and finally say something. And that was really, really hard. And when I finally did, it's all such a blur, but my dad came and, you know, he ripped me out of that scene. And, you know, from there it's all kind of a blur on how these events went down, you know. But after that, I didn't get to see my mom for a long time, and I pretty much became a daddy's girl. I got really close with my dad. You know, my dad was always there. He always made sure that I had, you know, good food and good clothes, and he always pushed me to do good, you know, in school. And life got okay for a while. And I didn't see my mom for a while, and I remember when I finally started to get to see her again, you know, that feeling, it was happiness. I missed her, you know. And I know my dad, I think it made him uncomfortable because he was so protected of his daughter, you know, with me being back in my mother's life. And the older that I got, I wanted to go live with my mom. I missed her. Me and my dad, I wouldn't say grew apart, but it felt like we did a little bit, and I had never really got to spend, you know, part of my life with my mother that I could really remember. So I ended up moving in, and I had a lot of fun. You know, there wasn't as many rules. I think I got to be more of an adult with my mom, is what it felt like, or so that's what I thought at a young age. And, you know, at that point, with the struggle of not really knowing the right ways to deal with fear and anxiety, my alcoholism had taken off at an early age, and I was a hard drinker. There was no sipping. There was no one, you know, drinking a couple beers and putting away. I went straight to the hard liquor, and it was shot after shot after shot, because I wanted to get to a point to where, you know, I blacked out. I thought that was the fun part of drinking, was being blacked out and so far gone. And that was my way of numbing my problems out, because I didn't know how to handle them myself. And a huge event happened in 2012. I was in a fatal car accident. Of course, it was a drunk driving accident, and my Jeep flipped 6 times, and it flipped hood over back end every time, and I, at some point on one of those flips, had been ejected from the passenger window, and the first responder on the scene announced me DOA. I was dead on arrival, and I was in the hospital, gosh, I can't even remember how long, and at that point, that's when my drug addiction took off. They had me on so many narcotics. I couldn't walk right for a year, and I had to relearn how to walk all over again. They were going to amputate my leg, and at that point, that's when, you know, they had me on so many different types of pain medicine, and me being the alcoholic and addict that I am, I took off with that, you know. And then at one point, months down the road, I was eating, I could take, you know, 120 pain pills and clear them out in one day, a day and a half. It got so out of control so quick. And, you know, from then on there, I finally came across the wrong crowd of people, my so-called friends, you know. They got me to shoot heroin for the first time, and I swear I remember that feeling like it was yesterday. It was so euphoric, and I was so numbed out from all of my problems in the world. Everything just seemed okay for a second, and I instantly gravitated towards that, and it got really, really dark, really quick. And in that time, I lost myself, and I destroyed every relationship. I destroyed everything around me, and I became a person that I didn't care if I lived anymore. I was going through every 24-hour period of my life hating who I was and hating the people around me, and I just had no motivation to live anymore. I went back home, and again, it got dark quick, and this time was even more bad. You know, I can count on both hands how many times I've overdosed and ended up in the hospital. And the two hardest ones for me on my relapse, I went to jail, I got locked up, I came out, I got put on house arrest, and I overdosed twice. My mother calls my probation officer and was like, hey, we have a problem. She overdosed. And I remember I went and sat in his office, and to this day, if I could thank that man for giving me one more chance. He told me, he said, we can give this one more shot. You can go to treatment and try and get your life together, or I can send you to prison for 3 to 5 years, he said, but I'm willing to give you this chance because you are not a criminal, you are a drug addict and you need help. So I took him up on that offer, and they ended up sending me to South Florida. I remember sitting in a meeting and hearing this woman speak, and her aura and the way that she shined and she smiled and she connected with people was so attractive that I wanted what she had. I was so tired of feeling alone. I was so tired of that fear and anxiety that I had every day. And I mustered up the courage. I asked her, you know, I'm ready to give this a shot. I want a shot at life again. And I asked her to sponsor me. And going through my 12 steps was a huge milestone in my recovery, and thank God that I asked that woman to be my sponsor, because she loved me until I started loving myself again, because I had hated myself for so long and was never able to do anything about it. And going through my 12 steps was so powerful, because every step that we went through, it was just like 10 pounds off of each shoulder. There was just such clarity and peace with every step that I did. And I can love people because I've learned to love myself again. You know, I can show up for people and I can be there for people, and people do the same with me. And the biggest thing is I look in the mirror and I'm not disgusted anymore with the person that I see. I love the person that I strive to be every day. And that's so big for me in my recovery, is that I love me again, because for so long I didn't. And you know, that feeling in itself is so good, because it is so hard to look at yourself every day and have such hate in your heart. And today my heart is filled with love, you know. And it's so cool when I look back to see a life run on so much fear. And today, looking back, I've been able to slowly watch that fear turn into faith. You know, I have a higher power today, God, and I put my faith in Him every day, and I put my faith into this program, and it's gotten me so far in life, to things that are only going to get better the more that I work on my program. And I now work at Rock Recovery, and it's such a gratifying and humbling experience. Working for them has been such a big blessing, because I've heard so many, you know, clients say before that we are family. This is family. You know, this doesn't even seem like a job for me. I come in and I love doing what I do, and so does every other staff member that works here, you know. And in that, it makes us family. It's all love. We all love what we do here, and I'm so blessed to be a part of such an extraordinary family. Life is so good today, you know. It's undescribable.